Hello, it is me again. This is an old video. This is nothing new. This is just a new form of content I just wanted to try out, just like yapping content, stories, whatever. Rather than my traditional content. I know it's very different besides the lifting, but you know, it is what it is. Um, this is my experience with paranormal or strange phenomena that has occurred in my life, mainly my prepubescent years. Um, I'm no stranger to experiencing any paranormal phenomena or any you know, weird, strange things that have happened uh, with no explanation. I guess that would just be phenomena, but I digress. Most of these have happened in my prepubescent years, um, which is, a little strange, but I just wanted to share them real quick. Um, so yeah, they're gonna be going in like ascending order. So stuff that like I don't remember as vividly are gonna be first, and then stuff that I remember very vividly are gonna be towards the end of the video. So if you want to just skip to those, or you want to hear the entire thing, or you just want to have this in the background while you do whatever you do, feel free. Go ahead. All right, anyways, I'll get started with the first one. Okay, starting off with something that seems very vague. Chains. Ooh, very spooky and ominous. When I was I think about 11 or 10 at the time, I lived with my nana at her house. This is due to like economy issues in like a few years prior. Anyways, it's not relevant. Um, I lived with her, so it was about the afternoon, about 4 o'clock. My mom wasn't home, my brother wasn't home, and my dad wasn't home. However, my nana was. However, she would take naps throughout the day sometimes, and so she was taking a nap in the living room. I was in my room playing with my toys with the door open, and you could just chuck it up to being a wild imagination for a kid, but I don't think my imagination was capable of making something so horror-esque, I guess. Especially because I didn't like anything horror at the time either. So, I was playing with my toys, and all of a sudden, I would hear chains, dragging on the ground. Like a chained beast or an animal or something like, grabbing a chain and, you know, dragging it. And it was very strange until eventually it stopped, and then it sounded like the chains were raising. You were holding up some chains in the air, like they were on the ground, and you held them up in the air. Then I saw a silhouette of a chain. I was a little freaked out, but I went outside of my room to go investigate because I mean, what else could I do? I'm in my room, like there's nowhere to run. So I went to investigate, and there was just nothing there. Now I thought like my parents had gone home without me knowing because we had chains in the garage, but they were brown and they were small and they didn't make too much noise. However, that's in the garage, not in the hallway. So, it was very strange hearing that, and I still to this day I don't know what it could have been. I honestly have no clue why it even occurred in the first place. But yeah, that's all I remember for this one. Let's get on to the second one. All right, and now for the next one. Um, I was playing Minecraft with my brother at 2 in the morning. I was about 12 years old at the time, 12 or 13, playing Minecraft PlayStation 3 edition because we didn't have PlayStation 4s because we were broke. Anyway, we're playing Minecraft PlayStation 3 edition, and we would have our doors open. So because we didn't like the pressing uh the home button and then typing messages to each other because that would take too long. And our rooms were right next to each other, so we would just like go into each other's rooms and just say what we wanted to say, and we would just play the game together. Eventually, the night came to or the gaming session came to a close, so we both got up. My brother said he was gonna go to sleep, so I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go to sleep as well. So I do so, and not 5 minutes later, I hear knocking. So I thought it was just my brother just doing something, and because it wasn't on my door, it was just knocking somewhere in the house, and then it happened again 5 seconds later. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? Because I'm trying to go to sleep, and I thought he was trying to go to sleep. Because I thought he was like fidgeting with his room. So I tried to tune it out, and I tried to go back to sleep. I hear it again, 5 seconds later. And so this time I'm like curious. I'm like, yo, what is my brother doing? I get up and I go into the hallway where I meet my brother. And he was literally about to ask me the same thing. Why are you knocking? And I was just like, I was about to say, why are you knocking? And we kind of just stood there. We were frozen because like we didn't know what was it. Then we heard it again, this time at the front door. So we go to the front door and nothing's there. And so we move to the we go. I go into the TV room. We turn on the lights because we're both kind of freaked out. So we go into the lit TV room. My brother said he's gonna go wake up our mom, and so he does. But right before he does, we hear knocking again. This time in the kitchen. So now we're kind of freaked out. So my brother rushes to go wake up my mom, and she wakes up. And then my grandma, because all the lights are on, she also wakes up, and she asks my mom like in Spanish because she's a native Spanish speaker, what's going on? And my mom's like explaining like, they're hearing noises in this house, and so we all pause and we hear the knocking again. And my mom, also now freaked out, she gets the holy water and she starts blessing the house and saying a prayer in Spanish while me and my brother kind of just stand by. And after she did that, the knocking stopped. We waited about an hour for just to be safe, and sure enough, yeah, the knocking stopped after that Spanish prayer. And it was, to say the least, probably a weird, probably the more unexplainable ones, because we still to this day don't know what that knocking was. I know I make it sound more dramatic, and that's on purpose, because honestly, it just sounds childish just talking about this. But yeah, um, that's another one of my stories. They say that the human body is very aware of when it's being watched. This is the case for me at least, and should normally be the case. Normally, because we kind of descended, or yeah, descended of our primates and ancestors. So they know how that fear of being watched. You can kind of sense it, something watching you. You can sense when you're not alone. This has happened to me several times when we moved into the house I'm currently living in. When we moved in here, unexplainably, I felt a sense of dread and an unknown fear that I was being watched with no real reason as to why. Um, and this ties into what the next topic will be, which is actual manifestations. Um, but I at random points in the day, whether I be trying to take a nap or go to sleep, I get the sense that I'm being watched. I'm being I'm not alone. And in those moments, I'm like, I'm paralyzed with fear, and I don't even dare to move an inch, let alone breathe, like comfortably. And so I would bring this up with my family, and my mom would always say that this is a new house, nobody died here, but I don't. It just never. The answer never satisfied me because this kept happening over and over and over, and it was only getting more frequent for no reason. And it wasn't until um you know I this other thing that happened, but more into the being not being alone. um I was in the kitchen one night at 2 in the morning. My brother wasn't home yet. Everybody was asleep. I was in the kitchen when everything shifted. The energy shifted. Everything shifted. You know how like when you're comfortable and like you feel you're comfortable and everything like that, and it just shifted randomly to where something's here, something's watching me, something I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but that's what happened in the kitchen. And I kind of left the kitchen light on and was just waiting somewhere else because that area of my house just felt so unnatural. It wasn't until one day when my brother came home and then it went away, but um, it wasn't until one night where I was walking to my room and I saw a shadowy figure, and then it just like kind of zoomed by and then disappeared. And I know it wasn't my imagination because I had gotten a full night's of sleep, and I had you know I had gotten a full night's sleep, and I wasn't feeling tired or exhausted. I was just heading to my room to go play my game, and I saw that, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" So my mom invited a priest over, and he blessed the house with, I think it was ginseng or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but he blessed the house. Ever since that feeling of being watched and the shadowy figure stuff ceased. It just ceased happening. So that's another thing. Now for the final one, which is, all right. I have two stories to share. So the first one's more lighthearted. Um, when my deal passed away, everybody had gone to see his wife at the hospital, except for me because I was still physically not good. And so all the adults left, and it was just me and my at the house alone. And I was sitting in the kitchen. I was eating a donut. Then all of a sudden, I turned to my left, and I saw my deal there, and he was smiling at me. And that memory has stuck with me forever, and it's how I kind of coped for the whole thing when he passed. And I saw him there, and he was smiling. He was standing there. I blinked, and he was gone. And I was just like, dang. I went over there to the spot where he stood, and I was like, just like was shaken. I was just like, what the heck, you know? And yeah. The next story isn't so lighthearted. This final story I will share. Um, it's the one that stuck with me the most. Our car broke down, or my mom's car broke down in Phoenix on the way back from 4th of July. We had to spend a night at a hotel, and upon entering this hotel and into the room, we had an uneasy feeling. We chalked it up to just being anxiety for the car, my anxiety, and just being shaken up because of the car. So we went to sleep. Upon the next morning, we woke up. I was getting ready. My mom went to go pick up the car, and my brother went downstairs in the lobby to go get some breakfast. I was in the restroom. All right, I was taking the shit. I was wearing a yellow shirt at the time. No visible stains. I looked down. For I closed my eyes for 1 second and I looked down. All of a sudden, there was a blotch of blood that just appeared on my yellow shirt, staining it. And then I look to my right and I see this girl in a white dress with blood on her mouth and on her neck. And she stared at me before going back into the wall and then disappearing. And then I looked down at my shirt and then the blood was gone. And then I was shooken up by that. And I kind of just like immediately got up and went outside the hotel room and just waited for my mom because it was fucking it was terrifying, dude. It was terrifying. And this is the one that stuck with me the most. I'm sorry if you were expecting like some type of super demon thing at the end of the video, but again, these are just my stories and my experiences with whatever. So obviously, no one's gonna have the same type of experience. But yeah, that experience visibly shook me up, and it's actually probably the reason because I just remembered it recently, and it's the reason why I made this video. Anyways, thank you for watching and listening. I probably will return to like a yapping form of content, but not like storytelling. Um, but if you want to hear storytelling, then just let me know, in person or in the comments. Hope you have a good one. See ya.